You are now listening to the Checkmate Arcade podcast, special Endgame episode for Life is Strange, episode 3.
MSU Hitman Jason Billingsley, and I am going to be winding you down the roads of Arcadia Bay for this in-game spoiler cast of Life is Strange so far, as we have just gotten through episode 3. And Steven is still, despite my goadings, has not gotten the game yet, so I am joined by a special guest.
Hi guys, it's Ginyu.
Hello, Ginyu, and welcome to the show once again. And you messaged me on Facebook, and then last night we got this going, and I'm going to fight through this echo here because I'm getting echo, but we'll get through this. And you expressed interest in talking about episode 3, and given Steven has not played it yet and is going to play it at some point, Steven has put aside the headphones and is going to let us two run rampant here for a few minutes to talk about this game.
All I have to say is, what the flying, you know what? Come on, and you have such a cool character like Chloe, and what the hell do you do? What? Oh, it's terrible.
Well, we can't say it wasn't foreshadowed.
Oh.
I mean, you did see episode 1. She parked in the handicap spot. And then episode 3, which we'll discuss more in a second, the money question, that envelope was marked handicap fund.
Mm-hmm.
Now whether or not that was just a bribe from the gosh darn it, Prescott's.
Yeah, the Prescott's, yeah.
Yeah, whether that was the principal's latest hush money from the Prescotts or not, don't know. It could very likely have been.
What I'm thinking is that no matter what you do, she's messed up. No matter what. Even if you go back to the previous timeline, she's going to be pissed off. And whatever this timeline is, I don't know. There's still a lot of unanswered questions here.
Yeah, because the episode, all I knew going into episode 3 was that it ended in a cliffhanger. And most of the, video game writers that I follow on Twitter and stuff had, they had been very careful about avoiding spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, the echo's getting me here. I was able to go in fairly clean, and I had to do it last night. And when we do the proper episode, I'll get into what all had happened, because I had another task to do. In Witcher 3 has got its claws in me, so I've been meaning to play episode 3 soon, and I got through it last night. There was a couple of tricky parts. The very beginning of the episode, you have to kind of play with the time mechanics, and if you don't look it up on YouTube, it takes quite a while for those mechanics to be like, oh yeah, when time rewinds, I'm frozen in the place, so I've got to rewind while the principal has his back to the sidewalk, and then I can just sneak right past and be fine. It took me a while to figure that out because I was looking for like
so you were stuck on that part?
Yeah, that got me stuck at the very beginning, and I had to pause the game. Like I literally went to the PS4 menu and looked up on YouTube how to get past it, and even the playthrough I was looking at, had to edit out 10 minutes of them struggling to figure out how to get past it because I'm looking for something contextual. Okay, well, there's going to be a fire alarm or there's going to be something contextual for me to hit. No, Jason, you just need to rewind time, and then when he's got his back turned, you're in the same spot, so you can walk past him.
Yeah.
And then
let's see here. I believe it took me like 5 or so minutes to finally figure it out.
Yeah, and then that ends up playing into itself again when you complete your next task and all heck is breaking loose. Oh, well, now I'm inside where I was trying to be in the first place, and I can just rewind, and there's no need for a handheld bomb. I'm already in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's those tricky game mechanics, man.
Yeah. And you were bringing up earlier that I don't know how much you had played Walking Dead or Heavy Rain or Wolf Among Us, but those games have all had fight sequences, QuickTime fight sequences, and so far, through 3 episodes of Life is Strange, we have gotten through without any QuickTime fight sequences. I mean, there have been a couple of decision points where, like in episode 2, do you pull the trigger or not at the guy with the knife, the drug guy that Chloe owes the money to, that's threatening you and her with a knife, and do you pull the trigger or not? But outside of that, there is no, weird first-person combat from Walking Dead or QuickTime combat from Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead, Heavy Rain, etc. So it's interesting they've been able to go so far. And I don't know how much you know about the studio that's doing this game, Don't Nod. I don't know if you heard of Remember Me. It was a game that came out a couple years ago, published by Capcom. It was in the future.
I am aware of that game.
Okay, so that was their first game, and the combat in that game was unique, but I need to play it. And I had a PS3 copy of it from PlayStation Plus, but now my PS3 is broke. But anyway, the combat there was the weakest part.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that they saw. I mean, the storytelling and everything was their strongest part. So now that they have at least 3/5 through this game been able to avoid combat, because in these style of games, there's really QuickTime's really the only way you can do the combat, and they've been able to avoid that trap so far.
Yeah. The thing I like about it is that the story is still intriguing even without a combat system.
Yeah. And I wish more people were like you, but yeah, I mean, it's just, and this audience, an audience of people of gaming media in general, are more receptive to this type of stuff, but I get introduced a lot to kind of the common gamer, and I've had people straight up to my face, including an Army veteran, say, well, I ain't playing that Walking Dead game. You don't shoot people in that. I didn't join the Army to talk to people. I joined the Army to shoot people. I want games where I shoot stuff.
Oh, man. To think that there's still gamers like that.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. You don't want to know how many copies of that horrible Walking Dead Activision terminal reality game have sold. I mean, GameStop's made their money from that game. And I just know that it's probably a good idea that Telltale is taking a break from Walking Dead because I think the Payday guys are doing a Walking Dead shooter this year. And I think even they know that, well, we need to rest on Walking Dead. Not that because we've done 2 seasons, but they're going to get just obliterated by a Walking Dead game that is an actual shooter made by people that could actually make a shooter.
That'll be interesting because whenever I think of Walking Dead, I think of the Telltale's. That was perfect. I enjoyed every single second of it.
Oh yeah, I mean that game from I guess 2013 or 2012. I'm getting my years mixed up now, but anyway, I mean that has opened up so many doors to this style of game. I mean, I guess really Heavy Rain started it, but with it being a PS3 exclusive and it was 2010 and the PS3 hadn't really caught up. It was just starting to ride this wave because 2009 is when it started to regain momentum. You had the PS3 Slim with the price drop to $300. You had the Kevin Butler ad campaign. So all that stuff started in 2009 and it kind of crested in the summer of 2013 with the E3 announcement and Last of Us. That was kind of this crest. And Heavy Rain was at the beginning of that, and with it being a PS3 exclusive in 2010, everybody just kind of ignored it that didn't have a PS3. And David Cage is a pretty polarizing guy. Like, there's a lot of people that just flat out don't like his stuff. And I even watched, the playthrough of Life is Strange I was watching was, a crew from YouTube that have made a career off of not just him, but one of their most famous skits are just ripping through his games. I mean, they do other stuff as well, but I mean that's kind of one of their signature series, are their takedowns of his games. So he's a very polarizing figure and polarizing style. So that was just kind of this outlier. And then we had L.A. Noire, which was also kind of an outlier. Still a great game if you haven't played that one. That's a great game as well. And then it just hit a critical mass because of Walking Dead, the popularity of the license, the quality of the game. And I mean, we've opened up now. You've got all the stuff that Steven's favorite group, Double Fine, has been doing, all their Kickstarter stuff. All the stuff they've done. Telltale has expanded their zone to all kinds of licensed stuff. Some worry too many, that they may be splitting off too many, but I mean they're chugging along. And now we've got, I mean, you had like Gone Home, which I haven't played since it's on PC, but that's a pretty phenomenal short experience, but it's a really good game. And you have stuff like Papers, Please, which I did play and is really awesome. And now we have this developer whose first game ever, published by Capcom, kind of fell on a flat note. And thankfully, unlike the shirt I'm wearing right now, the people that did Murdered Soul Suspect, unlike them, which sadly they folded after their semi-decent game, Murdered Soul Suspect, flopped, and then they shut down because they ran out of money. Don't Nod was able to get this idea funded by Square Enix and have just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's get right down to the main question here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you make them kiss?
I did. I did.
Yeah! I think that's the best decision ever, man.
It was just weird how that was thrown in there all of a sudden. And Chloe's expression when you've got the flashy, here's the major choice screen, everything's kind of flashing, and I've heard what the ending is on the other side as well. I've not seen the video of it, but I've heard how it handles. I mean, it's I can see why it's there from the writing and the script and everything, but it does come slightly out of left field.
Yes, it does.
A little bit, but I guess the foreshadowing is there and everything, and that feeds into one of the popular theories. And you know a game is good when you're halfway through or 3/5 of the way through an episodic series, and much like Walking Dead, everybody's just like, WTF is going to happen, and there's so many theories out there, one of which is with the introduction of this, are Max and Rachel actually the same person, just from different timelines, because they seem to be direct opposites.
There's a lot of theories going around with this game. Some are good, some are not so good.
Yeah.
As for me, I'm just not sure about Rachel.
Yeah, who we've never met, we've only seen pictures of, and it's just weird that she disappears the weeks before Max comes back to Arcadia Bay. So that's what's fueling some of that speculation.
I think next episode, Dark Room, will expose, whatever theories out there. It'll be interesting to see if we actually bump into Rachel in the Dark Room.
Right, yes. Will we meet Rachel finally in episode 4? Because, as we'll get into in a second, butterfly effect alternate timeline has happened, where you're going through the episode. In episode 3, it starts off a little slow. I mean, you do some detective work in the school, then you have this weird bonding sequence in the pool, and you go through kind of a scene back at Chloe's home, and she drops you back off at school, and you look at this picture from 5 years ago that Chloe's mom gave you. Oh, this is the last time she was happy, because right after this picture was taken, her dad gets into a car accident and dies trying to pick the mom up from the grocery store. And you're looking at the picture, and the game focuses in. All you see is the picture blurred, and it wants you to tweak the analog sticks to focus it, and white screen, and you're transported back in time 5 years into your 13-year-old self, but it's your 18-year-old conscience knowing the events of what happened, and you're at that day where the dad got into the accident and died, and you're trying to stop that from happening, and you're on a time crunch. Now, of course, if you fail, you can rewind, but it's trying to remember, it's okay, call comes in, I'll stop the call, because this tripped me up a bit at first. It's like, okay, well, I'll just unplug the phone. Well, this isn't the 1990s, Jason. This is the mid-aughts, so people have cell phones. So you unplug the phone, then the call comes in on cell phone, and then he's looking for the keys. And then he finds the keys. You rewind. It's like, okay, now I got to hide the keys, but he's got a key finder thing. So then you have to. There are actually 2 options. Where did you hide the keys?
For me, I threw it out the window.
Okay, see, I dropped mine in the sink, because the playthrough I was looking at to help me out. Yeah, you can drop them in the sink as well. So there's even 2 options there on it, because by that time the keys are either out of range of the sensor, or the sensor is dead because it's under a full sink of dishwater, and then it's like, oh, take the bus, da 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 da. So then you're treated to this butterfly effect of all these pictures from the last 5 years morphing into different things because the timeline has changed. And you flash back in, and you're sitting outside school, and you're in the Vortex Club circle.
Yeah, and that was a big WTF moment.
Yes, because you're in the circle, And Victoria, who has been your huge antagonist the entire game that you can focus on. I mean, she's been against you from day one. She's acting like your best friend because she is. You're apparently a bit of a stoner. And everybody's like, what's wrong with you? Because it's a normal day to them, but you've just rewound, you've just jumped in this alternate timeline. Warren's with the girl from science class that's crushing on him and always hated how he was always, fond of Max, but now they're together. And then you're panicking like, oh God, what happened to Chloe? What happened to Chloe? You pull up to the school bus that buses the students around town. Chloe's former stepdad, the security guard, is now the bus driver.
Yep.
You take that bus ride out to Chloe's house, passing the waterfront, the restaurant, and all the birds that had been dying in the previous episode, you see them flying in the air, and now when the bus stops at a stoplight or whatever, everybody looks outside, and now it's whales washing up ashore dead, just like the birds in the previous episode, previously in the episode had fallen down dead. And then you get to Chloe's home, and as soon as I saw because you see the wheelchair ramp as she gets dropped off, she's walking up to the door, and there's a wheelchair ramp. It's like, oh no. And she knocks on the door, and the dad answers, and this is, Max in this timeline has been Vortex Club, hasn't seen Chloe yet, so, this is the first time she's been there. And then the dad calls to Chloe, and Chloe wheels up, complete paraplegic, breathing tube and all, wheels up to the door with and it's such a calming smile. She is obviously in the worst possible shape that you could be while being a conscious human being, but she has a glowing smile that you have never seen on her in all your interactions with her through 3 episodes. Even in happy, quote-unquote, what should have been happy moments, there's been this angst. You can't joke with her at all. The slightest, joke sends her off the deep end, no matter if it's Max or her mom. And then, obviously she has, there's no humor between her and the stepdad. You can't make a quip at her at all without her going off the deep end. Just angst and angst and angst from, her dad. And you see when the pictures redo themselves, how close she is to her dad. And and then the ominous one, which you may not catch, the last one you see change, is the birthday party, where in the original timeline, the mom takes a picture, they're trying to cut the birthday cake, and her and the stepdad are in an argument, and she's got the knife out like she's going to stab him, and then that metamorphoses into the dad giving her the keys to what looks like a new truck instead of the old beat up one she had. And that obviously, of course, foreshadows this accident, apparent accident. We have to assume that that's what turned her into a paraplegic.
Yeah.
So and then credits. You see her wheel out, and you see Max's horrified expression, and she wheels out, and she's sitting there, and she's just got this peaceful smile, like nothing's wrong in the world. And then credits. And then a brilliant thing they did after the credits, they showed the decision thing, but then when they do the teaser for episode 4, instead of the full teaser trailer like they've done before, they literally show 10 seconds of the rave. And then that's it.
Yep.
Just brilliant job that they did with this episode.
Also, there's one thing that you missed. The female bum. There's a theory with her. Theory that she's somehow Max. because of the same eye color and the Cheerios.
Right. Yeah, the same
I'm
cereal
not sure. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it could be something there. You know, because Max, from the way that they talked, Max said, "I can trust you." So she told her to get away from there, that there was a storm coming.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this future timeline affects the female bum as well.
Right. Now, see, I completely missed her. Was she in episode 1 or 2? Was it 1 that you... It was 2. It was... You went to the diner in 2. You didn't go there in 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 2... See, I missed that until I watched the Two Best Friends playthrough. I didn't realize you could walk around there. So I missed that in episode 2. So I made a point to go there in 3, and then I didn't pick up the Cheerio, the cereal and everything until other people I posted on Patrick Klepek's spoiler article for 3, and I saw the comments from the Two Best Friends Play YouTube, the final part of their playthrough of the episode, and then Game Trailers just put something up yesterday on YouTube as well. So I hadn't picked those things up. I picked them up quickly afterwards, and it is interesting that she could be some type of displaced thing, because that's the other theory, is that somehow her power is what's connected to this chaos, and that the more she would use it, the more it grows, and that's what's causing the dying animals and stuff. Because something I picked up on, and not a lot have, when you're in the diner for episode 3, if you watch the TV, there's a show going on, and the local guy's interviewing this Portland meteorologist, and it comes up that the last time it snowed in Arcadia Bay in October was exactly 100 years ago. Now, I've played enough Castlevania in my day to know that weird, stuff happening exactly 100 years apart, there's something to that number.
Oh, yeah.
Something else I'm
Such
curious.
A good game.
Yeah. Something else that I'm curious about with this episode, you have a chance when you're preventing the dad's death there at the end of the episode, you have a chance to draw a picture on the base of the fireplace and also take a picture of him and Chloe. And I wonder if you end up telling him or Chloe about what happens, if somehow that helps you prove that you're not crazy, like if that comes up.
I'm not sure, but knowing this game, anything can happen.
Right. Now, who is Lisa? Can you help me refresh my memory on who she is?
Lisa? I'm drawing a blank, sorry.
Well, because when you look at the extended decisions, there's the main oh, that's the plant. Okay, Lisa's the plant. Okay. Alright. Because when you look at the extended decisions, like when you hit more, it shows the main 5, and what I love about this game is you hit the more button, and it shows like 15 or whatever minor decisions are in that episode. And it said at the beginning, is Lisa alive or dead? And on PS4, I'm only a third had her alive, and I'm like, who is Lisa? What is it? I just looked it up. It's the plant. I just looked at it.
In my version, she's dead.
Okay, because most people have forgotten. I totally saw that I missed that in episode 1, and I made sure in episode 2 to do that. And then in 3, I'm hovering around the plants like, where's the water? Where's the water? There is no water prompt. There is a prompt to feed the rabbits. I did remember that, but I'm surprised that wasn't a. I'm surprised that wasn't a thing.
Poor rabbit.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is what is going to happen, like, Because something that Patrick Klepek wrote about on Kotaku that he was worried about was, will the decision or the skill, I guess it's not really a decision as much as it is a decision of what to say, but will the skill of whether you saved Kate or not, now that we have a new timeline, are all of our choices from the third episode mute, or, from 1 through the first part of 3, are those mutes, or are we going to spend the first quarter or a third of episode 4 resetting everything to go back? And then those choices matter again, because they do try to make things change a bit. I think you said on your playthrough, Kate's alive, or is she dead?
Yeah. On mine, she's alive. Okay,
see, on mine, she's dead because I didn't read, when I was in her room, I didn't read all the biblical stuff, and I picked the wrong, and not knowing, I was like, oh, well, mother, dad, sister, oh, I'll choose sisters, yeah. No, dad was the correct answer, bye-bye. Because I did all right for a while, but then I chose the wrong Bible verse, and then it came to family member, and that's like your last chance, and it's like mom, daughter. I'm like, well, there's usually good bond between dads and daughters, but maybe, this is a real religious family. I'll go with sister, and my first instinct would have been right. But so things change a bit. So basically, Max's dialogue is a little defeated anytime Kate comes up, because it's, my powers were no good. I couldn't save her. Why do I even have this stuff? And everybody's comforting her. Well, you're the only one who cared. You tried. Don't put this on yourself. Instead of Kate texting you, the dad texts you, thanking you for trying. And what's weird to me is that her room is still taped off like it's a crime scene, whether she's alive or dead. So I found that a little strange. I think they
were just cutting corners.
Yeah, I think that one, it should be locked or something, or not police tape. Maybe, if there was a sign from the school or something versus the police tape, because it's literally the same X of police tape, and it's just like, So, some things did change, but it hasn't played itself out yet, and I wonder if that does. I wonder if that eventually does. And then I missed the prompt for the purple-haired girl. I missed it that time. Like, I just flat out did not see her when I left the diner. And that was the one time I did not, help her dodge whatever.
Yeah. It was, a car was driving through and the water would splash her.
Yeah. I just totally didn't. Yeah, I totally didn't see it, didn't even hear it. I just walked right past her. It's like, oh yeah, I got the key now. I figured out that puzzle all on my own. And yeah, just totally walked right by her. And I will have to say I'm a horrible person when it comes to animals. I've talked about many times before that I am not a dog person. So I totally threw that bone in the street. I didn't even flinch.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm a horrible person because apparently, depending on your system, that choice is made by less than 10% of the game trailers person said it was 1% when she played. I don't know if it was on Xbox One or 360 or whatever. On PS4, I can say it was at 9%. And yeah, I didn't even flinch. I just threw that thing in the street. So I'm a horrible person. I backed it up that, hey, the dog is rabid and it was a former fight dog, and I just didn't have much sympathy for it. So I was just like, go out in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was afraid that if I threw it in the parking lot that he'd come back, and I was just, street. And then I heard the crash, and I was like, oh man. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to leave that because that'll give something to talk about, because nobody is going to do that. Nobody is going to make that decision. So I will stick with that one.
Well, you were a braver person than I, because I did not do that.
Yeah, most didn't. Now, something I'm wondering, when you're in the RV and you get the knife, and there's two different grates that can be opened.
Yeah.
Did you open the one by the doorway or the one underneath the window at the very back by the bed?
If you try to open the one by the window, I believe the knife breaks. I remember having to rewind time so that the knife could be fixed.
Oh, okay. All right. So, okay.
So there's nothing really there except the knife just breaks and you have to rewind time.
Okay. All right, good. Because what happened there with the finding of that journal and everything, and Chloe just, going ballistic because, obviously Rachel had a fling with this horrible guy, this horrible drug dealer guy.
Yeah.
And
Frank.
Chloe, Frank, and Chloe just feels betrayed again. And I was like, oh man, because she just takes those keys and throws them on the roof of the next building. And I was like, man, what was in the other grate? But okay, good. Now I feel at ease that, there was nothing in that one. So, and something else that has come up as the critique, and I think you would be good to look at this as well. There's been a lot of critique about the dialogue, the dialogue, like the written script, in terms not how it's performed, but just the choice of the words. Now, at my second job, I work with a lot of people in their early to at most mid-20s. Like one I work with is a couple girls I work with are like 21, 22.
Mm.
And to me, the dialogue does not seem that far off. Excuse me. Like, it seems like, this dialogue, okay, this is stuff I've heard, hella and all this stuff. It's not, it's not forced or anything that has been the critiques of this. And I know you go to a lot of conventions and stuff, which would also be a younger audience and teenager to early to mid 20s. Have you had any problem with the dialogue?
Not really. I haven't really thought about the dialogue that much. It just seemed natural to me.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to address that as well, because that's kind of the consistent downgrade people make of this game. But the rest of it's so good it makes up for it. I'm like, do you people not interact with people of that age? Because that's how they talk right now. I don't think it's that big of a jump, but okay, I wanted to bring that up as well. So, I don't think, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up, or, should we kind of wrap this up that, oh my gosh, we have to wait till July now?
Who's your favorite Chloe?
Of the two, it's kind of hard to say right now, because all we've seen is, we've seen her as we saw her at 16, or I forget how much older is she than Max. Is she 2 years older or 3?
2 or 3, something like that.
Yeah. So, we've only seen her as, a 15, 16-year-old, while Max was 13. We've not talked to paraplegic Chloe. So it's kind of hard to say right now. Like I said, she just looks like, a lot of people in that instance would just, be in horrible, severe depression, but she has this look of just utter calm that you've never seen from her face.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Interesting to see episode 4.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to be due for a massive rewind here, and I wonder if it's something where the dad. There's a lot of speculation that Max is going to talk to the dad, and somehow she gets the dad to believe it, and then the dad sacrifices himself to be like, I'd rather have Chloe be healthy than be like this, or something, or maybe the mom, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if we jump back, if we stay in this alternate timeline, or what's going to happen. So, yeah, they've got 2 episodes to wrap this up with, and wow, did they just throw a Wainwright curveball for 3? Because, it was kind of, everything was just kind of going, yeah, okay, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I think that my thinking is this little time jump or time skip or whatever you want to call it, butterfly effect, needed to happen so that you could get into the dark room.
Right, because there's like
something
secondary
important with that.
Yeah, there have been secondary choices each episode, like, were you invited to the party? Did you get invited to the party? And then there was even one this time of, did you change because you could apparently cross people off the invite list. So I just never did any of that. So what's going to happen now? I mean, obviously you're getting into this party. I mean, we know this from the 5 seconds they showed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, and then
frustrating as hell.
Right, and then you have all the minor subplots about the photo contest, and I think eventually I just kind of wonder. I think somehow Max is going to I don't think she's going to survive the end. I think somehow she's going to be gone. Like, it's going to be like, well, for the world to be, I'm going to have to either she's going to have to sacrifice herself for Rachel to be there, or some people are theorizing that everything will rewind back to the very beginning and Max will jump out and take the gunshot for Chloe. Or I think Max is going to disappear. That's my theory. The resolution is going to be everything is fixed, but Max is either going to be dead or disappeared, presumed dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
I'm feeling the same way. I'm feeling that this ending is not going to be a happy one. At least not happy for Max.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I do not think Max that we know is going to be left when this is all said and done. All right, and with that, Ginyu, thank you very much for joining me on this Endgame spoiler cast for Life is Strange Episode 3. We'll have to do this again in a month or two whenever they get Episode 4 out. I anticipate it's been about 6 to 8 weeks per, so I imagine mid to late July we're going to have to, or maybe the beginning of August, depending on how late in July, we're going to have to make an appointment to do this again.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us for spoiler cast for the game that is the best game of the first quarter of 2015. F everything else. I'm MSU Hitman Jason Billingsley.
I'm Ginyu.
And we'll see you live on PSN or maybe even on the net.